Hey there, it is early May, and it's that time of the month where if you follow us here at Five Market Realty, we like to do monthly market updates where we basically track what's going on in the Athens area real estate market, what's going on with home prices, what's going on with listings, what we're seeing actually happen out there versus what you might think is going on. So if you're interested in Athens area homes, Athens area real estate, basically anything around here, be sure to click subscribe. We have update videos on the market. We have videos of new listings, and you'll be updated when we have one of those on our YouTube channel or website. But let's get started in talking about the spring market of 2023. So last month we did our market report for Athens, and then sometimes we often do mostly do a national market report in the middle of the month. We didn't do that for April because frankly, didn't see enough relevant new information to share. And I think going forward, because the market is sort of normalizing in some ways, the new normal, we might do that on need as needed basis, but we'll continue to give you the information on the Athens area real estate market. So basically what we're going to talk about is what's really happening in the real estate market. I know if you live here, you're talking about it, the home prices that you're seeing. Some people talk about things sitting, some people talk about things flying off the shelf. And then basically by the end of the video, we're going to talk about what is the new normal or what might be becoming the new normal for us in real estate. So let's get started. If you follow us, you know what we like to do is we like to go 3 years back. We like to look at basically four major things: total new listings, days on market, average sold price, and of course, the total amount of homes sold. Right there, you're looking at 2021 and 2022. Let's look at year to date, what we're seeing now. Now, we know that 2022 was behind 2021, but we're still behind again. We're almost to 600 homes sold as of May 1st in 2023, which is 22% behind last year and really closing in on about 50% behind on 2021. Truthfully, 2021 is going to be an outlier. So while that is a drastic number of reduction, I'll focus more on 2022. The days on market is up about to 48 days. That's going up about 40%. We're also seeing an average sold price of $441 year to date, which is up about 7%. That number being much smaller and not 20% or anything like that is actually very good news. And the bad news for people in our industry is just the amount of transactions here are down almost 34%. Total homes sold year to date in Clark and Oconee County. Keep in mind, this is just the classic MLS and not for sale by owners or Georgia MLS. But in the classic MLS, 399 versus 601 last year. Now let's go to the month of April and see a little closer look at just the month. As you know, April really signifies the start of the spring market in most years. And this year we did see things pick up. We saw a spring market come and buyer demand sort of increase. But the total amount of new listings, while they were up, they're still down almost 24% from 149 to 195 last year. Days on market is up about 40 days. That's kind of welcoming, and there's a story in there because some things are sitting and other things are not. So that's sort of what's going on in the market I want to talk a little bit about later. And then the average sold price was up over last April from 434 to 480, representing almost a 10% gain. Now, one of the things I want you to note there is that does say 10%, but since we have less sales, some of our higher sales are dragging that number up. For instance, if we have a sale at 1.5 and 1.3 in Clark County and there's less than 100 sales, they're just going to have more impact, basically raising that number up. So the number's up, but because we have so few sales, it might not be up that high. Total amount of homes sold, this is obviously way down, 122 in the month of April for Clark and Oconee to 185, and then 241 going all the way back to 2021. So those numbers of just transactions are significantly down. And that's where we're seeing what might become the new normal in our real estate market is what was going on with all the transactions is not what we're seeing now. We'll probably have more in the future than we're seeing, but it's going to look a little different. This is one of the metrics we really got to pay attention to. And one of the things that's going on while those prices continue to go up, despite what's going on with interest rates. This is the active homes for sale the last 10 months. I pulled this, maybe this was May 1st. So this is Clark and Oconee County. As you remember, I've shown you this a lot. In August to December, we got up over 200, 250 homes for sale. That was probably the biggest interest rate increases that we were seeing and a slower buyer demand. More people out there saying, I'm going to wait this out or there's going to be a market crash. Then we get into the new year and look at the supply of homes. The inventory starts to drop. And now we're back below 200. And we've also seen the buyer demand come back. We've seen the interest rate climate sort of get a little bit less volatile. I wouldn't call it great, but it's not just rising up like it was during this period of time. We're going to go look at another thing here, the monthly total sales. So if we go back, this is March, April, May of last year, we're almost to 200. Then we see some of the biggest interest rate hikes towards the end of the season when we really see most inventory. That starts coming way down to January, where we saw really low numbers at the end of the year, which is normal, but these were lower than we were expecting. But here's the good news. February, March, and April, we did start to see an uptick in the amount of total sales. And unfortunately, we're still far below. While we're going up, we're still far below that 200 number, which is be a great place to be. I think for the foreseeable future, we are going to see less transactions, but we're probably not going to see any price declines for desirable properties. Now, this is why I say that. I want to go look at months of inventory. We haven't shown this number to you as much, but basically this is what's referred to as the monthly absorption rate. And this is tracking the last 12 months. What those numbers mean is the amount of months of inventory there is. So 1.5 means about a month and a half, or you're looking at roughly 45 days. And if we start to get over 2, you see that's almost 3 months. Going back to May, we had a month and a half of inventory a year ago. As you can see, these numbers have stayed right around 2. And then right now, as we come here from January, we're going down and just now hit below 2 months again. So we're tracking back down on the months of inventory. And right now, as of April, we have less than 2 months of inventory. And this is what I'm telling you is that 4 to 6 months is what's considered a balanced market. And we're still far below that. Let's actually go look at what 2021 was. So this is the monthly absorption rate over the whole span of 2021. And as you can see here, it is actually even lower, just barely over a month. And from August to December, it was less than a month of inventory. And of course, 4 to 6 months is a balanced market. But let's go back and just look at where we are right now. This is where I want you to understand is, I feel like people have been waiting on a real estate crash or a lot of prices to fall. We still have a demand, and that supply is still far below the demand. So while the demand is nowhere near as high as it might have been when the interest rates were below 4%, because the supply is so diminished, it's still creating the prices to increase. Now, there are homes that are sitting, but most homes that are sitting are in less desirable areas, or they're overpriced, or they have something about condition that's making them sit. So if you're a seller that's not selling the property, you probably need to really examine your price. That's what you need to do. Now, let's look here at the sale price increase. And that's what we know is kind of still happening. For the most part, prices are not increasing as fast as they were, but they're still going up because of supply and demand. Well, right now in the month of March, over that time, we saw it go up about 10, going back there, about a 10%. One thing I want to note is, as I alluded to before, some of our higher end homes are what's selling. So we have a range over $1 million that's selling more $1 million homes than we've seen. And then we're seeing less sales below $1 million to 500,000. Let me go to this next slide to kind of show you. So right here, this last slide that we're going to end on is homes under contract on May 1st for Athens Clarke County. Now, you're probably getting attention for when you see $1 million home in your neighborhood. If you live in the area, get your attention, and it feels that all the homes are going for these big numbers. Well, we do have more $1 million sales than we've had before, but truthfully, right now, only about 4% of those are the ones under contract. 80% are still below $500,000. 80% of the market in Clarke County is still performing there. And in the middle, we have a 500 to $1 million. That range has probably seen the little bit, let's use the word quirky, because certain things that are in really highly desirable areas, over $1 million, really finished to the nines, have moved well. And then in that middle range, 500 to 900, we've seen some things sit. Now, what we're seeing is still demand. It just hasn't felt like the demand is nearly as high as it was. For instance, where you might have seen 6 offers before, now you're seeing 2. So please note that the pricing is going to be very important. And we're going to end here with the factors to understand from our little update video here. So number 1, interest rates may not drop drastically. If you're sitting there trying to time the market thinking that something drastic is going to happen, you could end up costing yourself money because prices are actually still upticking. People that were sitting around in November waiting for something might have gotten a better deal had they purchased then, and than they would now here in April or May. The supply is still far below demand, as we pointed out to you with months of inventory. Pricing is more important than before. It used to feel like you could price it and you would get your number, but you really need to examine your property. And even for realtors, they're having to look at several different factors because it's really hard to get it right. Some homes are going to have more demand, and you might not be able to press the number as high as you thought. You really need to lean on whoever is advising you for that pricing. And then we have gridlock right now. Gridlock for sellers, they can't sell because they can't buy. So there might be someone out there that could put a house on the market, but they're keeping their sign from going up because they're having the same difficulty replacing what they have. And, that's going to be a thing for a little while. Our new normal is probably less transactions until something kind of breaks this barrier for us, either on interest rates, in the economy, or with supply. Now, if you're still waiting for that real estate crash, I think you've seen it. We don't know what the future holds, but what's really going on, the real recession is in the amount of transactions, not so much in prices. The demand is less, but it's still there. So if you're waiting around for something drastic to happen and you're going to go around and buy up a cheap property, you probably need to quit waiting around and figure out what you need to do and get your housing situation wherever it needs to be. And always remember, historically, inflation, we can't control it. Interest rates don't seem to be doing much, but real estate performs well against it. And that's one of the things we're still seeing happen. While we see prices increasing, they're increasing much less than they were, which is good news. But as long as we have the supply problem, don't really know how we're going to see the prices drastically fall. This is our group, 5M Realty. Be sure to click subscribe. Info at 5M Realty. If you need to sell a home in the future, looking to buy in the future, click subscribe. Connect with one of our agents. You can contact us at info at 5M Realty. We'll get you with one of these people and kind of get you started in the process of what it is you need to do, because sometimes you might need to be planning months ahead. Have a great month of May. Thanks for sticking with me for a long one. This was almost 11 minutes. I appreciate it.